Alright, good morning everyone. Thank you all for coming this morning. We have a great seminar in line for you. It's always great to have a panel of industry guests, but when they happen to be alums as well, it's always exciting for us to have them on campus. Just a couple of quick announcements before we get started. There are a few more seminars left this semester, so if you're struggling to get those last few done, check the calendar. I know there's at least one on Friday and one on Monday at 10 a.m., so you can probably get a few done. Don't forget Best of the Best is this weekend, Saturday night at 7, so join in for that. And I think those are the major announcements. If you would, please put your phones, your iPads, your computers, put those away, make sure they're off so we don't interrupt anybody. But I'm not going to introduce everyone, so I want to make sure their titles and companies get right. But I'm going to start by introducing Candace Davis from IEVA. Like I said, these guys are all alums, so I think they're going to do some Q&A at the end, so be thinking of some things that you'd like to ask. So thank you guys for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. We appreciate, we always look forward to coming back on campus, which is kind of out-of-body experience for us. It's kind of weird. All of us graduated in 2010, so we graduated 3 years ago, which is frightening and crazy, getting old. But we just wanted to come here today and just talk about live entertainment and how we, really learned about live entertainment and what we do in the entertainment industry. So my name is Candace, as Jamie said. I work for IEVA. We are a nonprofit trade organization, and we have several scholarships here at Belmont for music business students. So make sure to check those out. And I am director of Strategic Alliances and Operations for IEVA, and we have a conference every year in October downtown Nashville where all these people come out and attend our conference. We are a member-based organization for networking, so basically all of these guys get together and network with each other about the next touring season coming up and all the other stuff that we'll kind of talk to you guys today about. But that's me, and I was a music business student here, and Ross. Take it away.
Hey, I'm Ross. I also live here to Belmont, and I work for AEG Live, which is the world's second largest concert promoter by tickets sold, but we're actually better than the other one. So I'll let you decide who is number one, but for my tickets sold. Been doing that job for about a year and a half now. I wear many hats. I am the executive assistant, I am our ticketing manager, so every single show we do, I'm the guy when you try to buy tickets on Ticketmaster. I'm the guy on the other end cursing them out for having issues. I do all of our contracts, cover shows as a promoter rep. Pretty much whatever they need me to do, I'm doing it at some point or another. And I have a lot of fun with it.
Hi, I'm Holmes. I graduated obviously in 2010 as well. I work at CAA. We're a very large booking company. We're booking live entertainment. I'm Tim Beating's assistant directly, so I'm not actually an agent, but an assistant. And I'm really enjoying it. It's been a lot of fun so far.
Alright, I'm Mark, and I was an audio engineering major. And I work for the band Sanctus Real, and I've been with them for 3 years. Kind of in a stage manager and do monitors for them. So my role is basically 100% travel. So I'm there with them at show days. Yeah.
Sounds like fun. We're all going to talk about kind of how we got our job. I know as a student when I was at Belmont, when I would come to panels like these, I always wondered how they got their job, what they did, how they stood out to get the job, because it's hard with all of us music business students. We are all basically fighting for some of the same jobs because the job market in the industry right now is very low, and it's hard to find a job. But don't be discouraged. We're here today because we've fought for our jobs, most of us, and we are very happy about where we are. So we're just going to talk about how we got our job. So Mark, do you want to start?
Sure, yeah. So 3 years ago, my last summer at Belmont, I was planning on staying in Nashville for the summer and finding an internship. So I'd kind of gone around a couple places and ended up getting offered a position at a production company in town, and kind of in that period of waiting to hear back from other people, I asked them for a week and to give them my notice. And at the end of that week, I ended up getting an email from one of the teachers here that Chris Lally does production Tour production. And he had forwarded on an email basically from another alum looking for an intern. So Thursday I responded to the email, and the next morning I was on the bus, kind of doing a little interview on the way to the show. And then I ended up doing an internship with the band that summer. And then went back to my fall semester and was done with the internship, but then was asked to come out for the fall tour, which was weekend dates. So I basically just did backline and kind of stage tech my last semester here, and just kind of continued, transferring into a more permanent role. So I've been with them since I graduated.
Kira?
I definitely take advantage of Belmont's career services because they definitely helped me move into my position. It wasn't an immediate fix, but I was working outside the industry at a call center in Brentwood, and I contacted career services saying I really need to get into the industry at some point, like just in some fashion. I'm really interested in this. And they put me in contact with Ford Feeney, who runs Warped Tour. And Warped Tour asked me to come and help them out with a couple things, very randomly, sporadically. And I was helping them out for about a month before they found out about my position became open. And they put me up for the job, and I was offered the job that afternoon. So it's definitely take advantage of all the resources that you have here, because even if it's not immediate, you can definitely move forward quickly.
Very similar story. I graduated, had absolutely nothing, hated my life, wondered what's wrong with me. I worked in healthcare, marketing healthcare for about 6-7 months. In 2011, I had done Belmont during my time here, so I had New York connections. I was actually looking at going back to New York and just seeing what I could find there. I had about $500 to my name. I was going to fly up there with no job, and it was going to work out great. Something was going to happen. About 2 weeks before I was planning on doing that, I got to know Tip, executive director of AIBA, and Candace. I volunteered at the conference, found out about this job. A week later, interviewed. The next day, got offered. So obviously, didn't end up in New York, and I've been at AEG ever since.
Yeah, that was exciting. I remember when Ross volunteered at our conference, and he had already graduated, and we didn't really know each other when we were both going here. But I remember seeing him, and he was the goofy guy around campus, But with AIBA, we really try to help students. We really try to help graduates find their place in the industry, specifically the live entertainment industry, since that's what we do. I was a student. I did a couple of internships, and my first internship was at AIBA, fall 2009, which is during our conference, and volunteered at the conference. Worked there all 5 days. It was crazy, the craziest 5 days of my life, but I'll never forget them. It was so fun. I was doing production assisting. I was anything you can think of that's related with the conference, and I fell in love with it. We're only a 2-person office. We were a 2-person office at the time. So after the internship, I said, guys, I have had a great time here. If you ever have an open position, please let me know. But I knew that was never going to happen, because what's the fate of a position opening right as I'm graduating? So roll over to the next semester, May 2010, 2 weeks before graduation. At the time, Tiffany Davis was executive director, and she emailed me and said, hey, I want to catch up with you. And I was like, oh, great. I've always loved Tiffany. So I had lunch with her, and towards the last part of the lunch, she goes, I want to actually brought you here to offer you a job. Andrew, who I took his position, he was leaving to go to Outback Concerts. So I said, absolutely, I'll take the job. Literally the day before, I think I was just in tears. I think I cried myself to sleep that night going, what the heck am I going to do? Because I didn't really know what I wanted to do in the industry, period. And a lot of us go through that. I meet a lot of students who go, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I want to work in the music industry. And that's normal. And I was one of those. And so it just kind of came about, and I was offered the job, and I took it. So I think the next day at school, I had to keep my mouth shut amongst everyone else. So I was very, very fortunate, but I worked my butt off for it. I will definitely say that. So that's kind of how we got our job and why we're here and what we do, because we want to share it with you guys. And we all have different stories, which is amazing. Just so we can see your hands, how many know what you want to do in music business? How many are music business majors? Okay, most of all of you. 2, to go in live entertainment? All right. It's always interesting to see the hands go up, and I know it's a very interesting part of the industry, live entertainment, and we love it. I don't see myself in any other part of the music industry but live. We are all about the show, all about live, and that's what we want to share with you guys today. So you're probably wondering how all of these and all of us work together in the industry. Well, we will start with Kira, since she is on the agency side. The agent-buyer relationship, which is basically Kira and Ross, their relationship is critical and crucial to setting a date for a show, for the date to move, and to get a venue, to do ticketing. All of that's crucial between these two lines. And obviously Mark comes in on site, day of, working up to that back line, sound, lights, production, everything. So we're going to just kind of talk with Kira and Ross for a second here about, how they work with each other on a daily basis. So, Kira.
Well, I think one of the most mystifying parts of booking for when I first started was how an offer actually becomes a date and how that process looks. Because in my mind when I started, it was, well, we get, someone's like, hey, I want to do a show. And so we, talk to them a little bit, and then we just hand it over to someone else. But it was much more of, we go in, we are like the representation for the artist on that side of things. So we have the artist's best interests involved, and we have to point and counterpoint on everything, and we have to make sure that all that information not only gets to the promoter so that they are aware, including their writers, the artist writers, but also gets back to the tour managers and the artists themselves and artist management. So when Ross comes to us saying, hey, we'd love to have an artist come out and play the Ryman, we have to agree on a set amount, set times, set everything, and that's several emails, several phone calls later. We actually can say, hey, this is confirmed. We're so excited to do a show. It's going to be great. And then Ross gets to take it from there.
Yeah. Yeah, real easy analogy to kind of differentiate between agency and buyer. Well, promoter, agency's the seller, they got the talent, they're selling it to everyone across the country. We're on the other end of that, buying the talent of the show from them. It's a real simple way to keep in mind what each of us do. Pretty much once we get a show, we take it and run with it. It's our baby. We handle all the ticketing, so working with Ticketmaster, working with venue box offices, making sure prices are right, making sure capacities are right. We handle day of stuff, so that's where Mark would come in, where we have someone from our end who will work with the tour to make sure that their production needs are met, that their backstage needs are met, that the writer elements are fulfilled. There are lots of emails back and forth to get to that point, lots of angry words, lots of tears.
Lots of passes, and then no.
Lots of passes, yeah, no, we don't, no, we want it. A lot of relationships, and it can be very political, but that's in a nutshell. Once CAA says, this is yours, take it, go for it, it's our baby, we're doing everything, including marketing. So if you're listening to the radio, you hear an advertisement for fun at the Ryman. We're the ones behind that who are working with radio production companies to get those spots out there so that everyone comes aware of it, and we can sell tickets for the show.
So Mark, kind of talk about it where you come in with all of this.
Yeah, so once an offer is kind of agreed upon and there's a contract, basically I'm part of the team that's kind of fulfilling the artist's obligation to that contract, and doing so with the least amount of stress towards the band, and putting on the best kind of show without spending most money. So I'm part of a team of about 4 people nowadays that travels with the band, but our road manager will basically take the contract, and it starts before we even get to the show with advancing. So he's talking with the promoter and the promoter rep, and advancing hospitality, what's going to be the dressing room situation, what do we need in the dressing rooms. He'll talk with them about production, and we do a variety of different shows. So depending on the type of show it is, and by that I mean there's festival dates. There's going to be kind of tour package tours. and then there's kind of one-offs that promoters will bring us in for. So it'll vary a lot between the different types of shows we look for. But generally, Kurt, our road manager, will be advancing, the show and getting production and all that stuff, and then that's all before we actually get to the show. So the day of the show, we need just to meet with the local stagehands we'll have helping us throughout the day, and if there's production supply, we'll be meeting with the production team and just making sure that everything's going to work for the show we're bringing. So yeah.
That's good. That's good. So going off of what you're just saying, the day of when you're on site, that's good. That's exactly what you do. If you're getting ready for the show, sound checking, the riggers are going up, sound lighting, all of that.
So all the details that I had to type up and make sure were correct go into play. And then he emails me saying, hey, where's this?
Yeah.
Why isn't this in the contract? And
then we get yelled at.
And then they get yelled at. So it's perfect.
Yeah, and with, I think you can expand on this, but with any show, the buyer or the promoter, in this case, let's say the promoter, how much of a risk is it, the show?
Oh man, show to show can be an entirely different thing. We do shows in arenas where we can be fronting a ton of money, and if we sell 10 tickets, we're going to be losing a ton of money. Because
at the end of the day, you're the ones paying rent.
Oh yeah, we are the bank. We are the bank for the artist, for the venue. We are the ones who are paying everyone. So the financial risk is with us, and it can be a scary thing. That's where there's so much research that goes into what we do. It's not just us saying, oh, I want this show, because I love this artist. There's a little bit of that, but it's very, very calculated. Unfortunately, in today's day and age, the way the business works, it's very businessy. We have a whole database of history. We can go look at similar markets and see how many tickets an artist sold, like last time we played town, what were the prices, what was the guarantee looking like, what venue did they play, or do we think that they could go higher, should we put them in a smaller capacity room where we can sell it out, make less money, but make money nonetheless, and our expenses stay down. There's so many different moving pieces, and these are constantly changing. If we have a show at the Ryman and it's not selling well, we could potentially move that to Canopy, where it's a smaller room, but our expenses go from like here down to here. So artists is going to get their money no matter what. Let's go ahead and throw that out there. Most deals, the artist gets paid regardless. But as far as we go, moving rooms can help us, and there are a lot of different parts and pieces that we factor in to help us make some money off of this, because your artists are expensive.
I'm not even going to comment on that.
So on site, the day of the show, the artist comes in, they sound check, they're getting ready for the show. Where does the agent come in, if that agent is specific to that artist?
We obviously make sure that the contract is fully executed. About a week before, we have to make sure that we have our deposits. I mean, it's a longer time than that, but generally a week before, I make sure that we have deposits, contracts in, that everything's been agreed to, all those deal points are taken care of. Hopefully the tour manager has advanced everything already, and there don't seem to be any red flags that are happening, to make sure that the artist is comfortable, that everything is in order, that we know how we're going to be paid. Is it going to be check? Is it going to be wire? And making sure that all that information is where it needs to be and who it's made out to, with all of their entities and all that stuff. And so day of show, I'm just basically checking in, making sure that everything is going smoothly and swimmingly. And I'm usually in contact with the tour manager, just making sure that that's the case.
Is everyone familiar with, like, we're throwing out these terms, advancing, deposits, what all this stuff even is?
Yeah.
Good.
That works.
I already know all this.
Yeah, I don't have it here.
I know. So basically, let's say the show's going on. After the show, it went off, it was successful. What do you guys do after the show? Do you just go home? I know, Mark, you're there late. You're taking everything down. You're, getting the stage, getting all the back line. What do you guys do after the show?
I've got another 40 shows to do. I mean, I go on to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
We have several different artists that we're working on constantly, and so that information is constantly updated and being changed, you know, as offers come in. So I am constantly moving that forward in my process.
There's not a whole lot of room to bask in the moment of the show. There is a little bit right afterwards, but like Kara said, on our end, we've got anywhere between 20 and 40 shows at any given point in time, all in different stages of going on sale, they're coming up this week, they just played off. So for us, it's not really matter. You know, as soon as the show's done, we're like, great, good show, everyone made money, everyone's happy. Let's move on to the next one.
And then it leaves Mark doing all the work. He's sweating all night, even after the show.
Yeah, so after the show, I mean, a lot of times there's more than one show on the weekend, so, you know, we're just trying to pack up as quickly as we can and, you know, basically just clean it up and going to bed, and fortunately, you know, we get to travel on the bus, so when the show's done, you know, we clean up and go to bed basically, and then, you know, we're driving through the night and we'll wake up, you know, in the next town and basically do the same thing over again, you know, in a different place. So.
And we have to do settlement. I forgot that. So we have to settle the show and then.
Yep. Yeah. So I'm not typically handling that, but you know, we'll have a road manager coming out with the promoter and receiving, you know, the rest of the payment and just kind of squaring that stuff away. So a lot of the time they're reviewing expenses that the promoter would have had, you know, to put on the show and making sure it's looking like they're all appropriate expenses to, you know, put towards the show. And then, you know, depending on the contractors, there may be merch fees that need to be taken care of. So kind of on a road managing side, there's a lot more of that administrative stuff to take care of as the show's done.
Cool. So Ross, tell us some of the major promoters that we all should know.
Live Nation, AEG are pretty much the two that you need to keep in mind. They're the two largest, not just in the U.S. but in the world. Very different business models, and we'll go into that. But ticket sales, Live Nation is the largest. By how awesome we are, the shows we do, AEG is so much better. Yeah, those are the main two. Here in Nashville, there's actually 4. Off the top of my head, I can think of 4. Live Nation has a presence. We obviously have a presence. Then there's NS2 and Outback, which are smaller independent promoters, but they're rocking and rolling. So we got competition over in Knoxville. There's AC Entertainment, who are the ones behind Bonnaroo. And then venues. You know, the crazy thing is, we haven't even talked about venues. Venues are kind of their own animal. We work with venues more so than the agent does, because we'll partner with them and, you know, we're the ones going with them, bringing the show to the venue. But venues also typically, especially the major ones, will do their own. They'll be their own promoters sometimes. Like the Ryman will bring in their own shows that we're not involved in at all. Bridgestone does that on occasion, but venues are just a completely different animal.
Yeah, that's where it gets dicey, because with buyers, obviously there's, you know, AEG, Live Nation and all that, and then you could be doing a show with the venue itself, and you have to make sure, or it could be a co-promotion, or some venues have a exclusive buyer that they only work with. There's lots of provisions like that, and venues are a whole other animal in and of itself.
Yeah. For instance, to kind of put all this into perspective, going back to, we were talking about the Ryman, you might ask, well, who buys for the Ryman? Sally Williams is the general manager of the Ryman. She's actually on our board. She's fantastic. She's done amazing things at the Ryman in the past few years. And so basically, Sally, she looks over, you know, who's going on tour this year, who's going to be in the local area, and she contacts the agencies and goes, hey, I want to book fun at the Ryman May 18th. And they kind of go from there. So there are some venues that have a buyer or a general manager who buys for that specific venue. And then there's some venues that they don't really have a buyer. They're waiting for people to call them and for them to book shows that way too. So it works several different ways. This is just a small little portion of our world here. But so he talked about some major buyer promoters. Some of the major agencies, there are tons of agencies, just like there are tons of, you know, buyer promoter companies. There are tons of agencies, and we work with most of all of the agencies in the United States, IEVA, does. And so we work with Kira, we work with CAA. They're one of the major agencies in the world, and also William Morris is also huge. They go by WME. And then APA, they're here in town as well. They do a lot of different acts, country, rock, kind of classic stuff. And then you have Paradigm Agency, they're here in Nashville as well. And then you have Paradise Artists, they're out of California. They do a lot of the older acts like Joan Jett and some of the guys from the Monkees and so forth. But those are the major agencies to know about. I'm sure you guys have learned some of these things. But I think the important thing is to educate yourselves. The professors here do a great job in the music business program, educating us on so many different aspects of the industry, but they can't teach us everything there is to know because there's so much out there. But these things, just become familiar with them, in the live world, because it's definitely taking off. And yes, Ross.
I was gonna say anything.
Oh, but I thought you had some enlightenment, but. So yeah, and do you guys have anything else to say?
Agencies are a great place to start interning. They're very well connected, not just to the live side, but to labels, to management, and every single agency that's in Nashville definitely takes interns. So even if you don't want to be like at CAA or at a promoter or at a venue long term, you can go from CAA over to Warner Music or Sony or some publishing companies. They're all.
Yeah, it's a very nice place to start and to at least get your foot in the water and see what's out there, because there were a lot of opportunities that I didn't even realize were possibilities before I started at CAA. So it's definitely and we love interns. I love interns. It's great.
And with the agencies within the live entertainment industry, it's crazy. The agencies are always hiring. It's kind of a secret. I know it's a secret, but I'm letting it out. That's the great thing about so many of the agencies that are here in Nashville. They love interns, and once you graduate, they love getting your resume. They love looking over it, and if they have an opening, sometimes they'll just interview you. Some of the agencies or the buyer promoter companies here will just interview you just to kind of get a feel of your personality, what you've done, and all of that. So interning is so important, as you learn here at Belmont, and volunteering is just as important as well. And so, yeah. We're going to do some Q&A, questions and answers, if anyone has any questions. Yes?
I know CA is really well connected, but is there any cold calling that goes on from your that you can work for?
How do you mean?
Like just trying to discover a new promoter in the area and trying to figure something out as opposed to going to some.
Most of the time, if it was a promoter situation, that would be a little bit risky on our part to just kind of cold calling and go to work with a promoter that we're not familiar with. It's definitely a word of mouth thing. We need to know that A, you're good for money, B, that you do good work, and C, that it's actually going to get done, and what we say we need done. Because with all those points that I did on the rider, I can't tell you how many times people just sign them and hand them back, and then there's nothing there. So it's constant reiteration of being like, this is important. And that's really hard to do with someone that you don't have that relationship with. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Good question.
Yeah. Just sort of for all of you guys, just what's one thing that you wish you would have done more of at Belmont to prepare you for live music? More live music.
I would have gone to more shows, to be honest.
More shows. Networking with the live side better as a student. I think I did better about that after I graduated than I did while I was here. And obviously, no matter where you want to go in this industry, it's all about networking. It's all about who you know. I don't think any of us got our jobs just from applying online. It was all third party, someone we met through a friend, or just through taking meetings with people. So for me, it would have been networking better on this side of things.
Yeah, the great thing about the industry, from what we've seen, is that industry professionals, they love when students come to them, email them, want to get to know them, because,
talking about ourselves.
Yes, industry people love talking. We love talking about ourselves, especially Ross here. But that's the cool thing about the industry is what I learned really fast as a student and when I was interning. some of the people that I would network with and that I talked to, they said, hey, email me, call me, I want to go to lunch with you, I want to be your mentor, and that's what all of you need. Every student needs a mentor, someone that has experience that can go, hey, let's talk about this. What do you want to do? Let's figure out what you want to do. And we love doing that. We love going to lunch and getting coffee and just talking with students because we were exactly where you were, So I think that's a good point too.
And to my point, definitely go to shows because people are going to start looking familiar. It's amazing how quickly you're going to realize that the same kind of people are going to the same shows, especially like new faces that are at the Basement, 8 off 8 at Mercy Lounge. Like those are free shows that people just go to go to. And if you see someone a couple times, you can be like, hey, I saw you last week at such and such, I thought she was great, and that starts the conversation right there. I have conversations like that like 10 times a week with people, and I've been doing this for about a year and a half now, and I still constantly meet people that way. And it's great because we really do all want to talk. And it's fun because we all want to talk about music, which is awesome.
Yeah, and you never know, saying that to someone that you've seen at a show before, you'll get to know them, and who knows, they may be someone like Kira who works for an agency. I know that a lot of our friends at the agencies, a lot of the assistants go to a lot of shows, and a lot of the agencies go to a lot of shows. So when you're at a show, no matter where it is, there's someone from the industry there. There are many people from the industry there. So that's a great thing to remember. Any more questions? I saw a couple hands. I thought I did. Yes.
Canceled shows, can you talk about it?
About
canceled shows.
They happen. We just had Morrissey cancel at the Ryman, and in that situation, it's unfortunate, but that's pretty much, it's extenuating circumstances. We obviously hate it because we don't make money off that. We can't bring the show that everyone got a sold out show, so it would have been really exciting to have it, and we're obviously fans are disappointed, but those things happen, and when they do, we just roll with it, and hopefully we can reschedule in the future, but there's no guarantee.
Do you guys hold grudges or anything against
Ross and I actually hate each other.
Yeah, we really do.
We don't
We probably should have said that.
We have to work together so much, and we have a network of buyers that we are constantly talking to, and it's foolish, really, and it just hurts yourself, it hurts your artist to hold a grudge against a buyer or someone that you could possibly work with. So I think most of the time it's amicable, and everyone realizes that it's really the last ditch effort. You don't want to cancel a show. No one wants to do that. We absolutely want to play that. That's why we did it. But for whatever reason, it doesn't end up working out. So everyone seems to be pretty familiar with it and are able to move past it pretty easily because it's never personal for them. It's just
But to a larger extent, beyond canceled shows, grudges absolutely do happen, especially on this side of things. There are a lot of big personalities, a lot of very strong personalities in what we do. So, and it's very political again. There are shows that I know we will never get because of a relationship that we don't have with that agent, or a relationship they have with another buyer that we just are never going to get those shows, or it could be management hates us for whatever reason, and so we're not going to get that show. And normally there are very superficial reasons, but that kind of stuff absolutely does happen as far as relationships, individuals that we do not get the show.
Any other questions? Yeah.
How do you feel like the venues and the whole system in Nashville here sort of compares to, I guess, maybe other areas nearby?
Oh, I love the Ryman. It's my favorite venue. I've seen shows in New York and Chicago, LA. Ryman is by far my favorite venue in town, and probably in the country.
Yeah. There are some great venues here. Obviously this is Music City, and I think the Ryman definitely has #1 slot for that. But War Memorial Auditorium, I know they're getting more shows that they're booking there. I love War Memorial. It's amazing. That's actually where the Opry first was before it went over to the Ryman. So I think that building has just as much historical, value.
And we have the amphitheater back in town now. We got the Woods at Fontenelle.
Yeah.
Which
is awesome.
We've got, AEG, we are now booking that. We've got Imagine Dragons coming this summer, Fun in September, and a bunch of other fun shows planned.
Yeah.
It's nice having the amphitheater back. You guys are probably too young to remember Starboy, but it was an outdoor amphitheater.
You're too young to remember Star Wars.
I went there. I'm not gonna tell you what show I saw there because it was back in the 90s.
Yeah, but that's a great question. You're comparing it to other cities. You guys travel around, you know, I know Mark, you go to a lot of venues, you go to a lot of places. And
I mean, I tend to judge venues by the access to the city and learning that. So I'm seeing a lot of shows from the stage management, so that's what all the other venues don't really matter.
Have you ever been to the 930 Club in DC?
No.
That's the only one that I haven't been to that I've heard is amazing.
Okay.
But I don't know.
But Nashville is a great live scene, lots of great venues. We've worked with Victoria and CAs for the last artists all over town. There's so much going on here that I love it. You know, I'm not really a huge country music fan, and so for me, I love that, especially over the past 5 years or so, the broader music scene has exploded, especially on the live side here.
Yeah, can I take a quick survey? Who is interested in country music? Raise your hand. All right, and who is interested more in the rock side of things? That's so awesome. That's so exciting. I work, Tim is technically a rock agent in CAA, and I can't tell you how excited we are about rock side of things, because our office is predominantly country, and it's just so interesting to see how much it's exploded recently. It's very cool to see that one. I'm ready to do that.
that's exciting.
I'm really excited.
Cool. I know. Any other questions before we? Yes.
Do any of you have any experience with working with international bands or vice versa, US to other countries, and kind of know anything about that whatsoever?
We have done shows like City and Color, you know, they are from Canada. So when we bring Brian in, we did a show with him in Cannery. From our end, it's really not that different, and from the agency side, they've actually got international offices. Like I know CAA has a London office, so if CAA here sends an artist over there, their London office can kind of take over and do that, and vice versa. From our end, it's really not that different. There's some legal forms that we got to fill out and make sure that we have the right, like W-9s and those kind of forms, but taxes are different and annoying, but that's where the accounting department is awesome and we don't have to deal with that. But from our end as a promoter, if it's an international act, there are a few things different, but nothing that is too, like, what is this?
That's a good question.
That is a great question.
Yeah. Any others before we wrap up here? Cool. Just, consider when, I don't know if any of you guys are considering Belmont East or West, but, like we had said, there are many different offices for both of these guys. For CAA, AEG, Live Nation, William Morris, APA, so forth. They all have representation in New York, LA, so keep them in mind too if you're needing an internship, if you're going to either one of the Belmont East or West. But thank you guys so much for coming today. Thank you, Belmont, for having us here. And if you have any questions, please come ask. We have business cards. We want to meet you. So, yeah, thank you guys for coming. Have a good day.